Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis, always ready. I'm Ralph Meredith Farrar. I grew up in Beckley, West Virginia. I joined the Marine Corps on August the 6th, 1946. That's an interesting thing. I was in Beckley, West Virginia. It was a Sunday afternoon before we heard about it. And I was riding my bicycle, and my dad was sitting on the porch listening to the radio. And he called me over there and told me that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. And, you know, it was hard to realize what that really meant. And since that time, I've seen so many pictures of what's going on. It's terrible. But I didn't have that bad reaction at the time. I was 13, as I said, yeah. First, I went to boot camp in Paris Island. That was quite an experience. We had a lot of training there. I ended up going, the last thing to do, I went to the rifle range where we had to qualify for our rifle M1. I had learned to take that apart before I went out there. And right to last, I did qualify as marksman. So the last week I was put on mess duty right there at the rifle range. And at the end of the week, we had a hurricane. I was sent out to the meat broiler to get some meat, and I had to go through that hurricane. I was scared. But a kid, I was 18 years old. And I finally graduated from boot camp in 6 weeks and went to Cherry Point. I was in Cherry Point the rest of my tenure there at the Marine Corps. If we had somebody that had said they had a problem when we were flying, they'd send me or one of the others to check it out. If we couldn't make it work, we'd take it out of the airplane and bring it to the shop and fix it and then put it back in there. If it couldn't be fixed while it was in the airplane, we'd of course take it out. We had the Mark 10 English radar on the F-7F. I was selected to be a radar operator on an F-7F. That's a Grumman airplane, night fighter. Never entered in any of the fighting in World War II. We'd fly at night, and my duty was to check for the enemy airplanes flying around, which of course were not, but we had up there, and direct the pilot to where that plane was. One experience I'll tell you about, we'd taken off at night and it was about 9 o'clock, and on the way, my canopy blew off, and the radar operator was sitting up behind the pilot, up above the airstream a little bit. I mean, the fuselage. It blew open, scared me, and I kept yelling at the pilot that my canopy had blown open. And finally I realized that in order for me to know I'm speaking through, you have to close your ears. And the pilot said, "I've been hearing you, I'm hearing you, where are we going to land?" I landed without any problems. And you know, they got that fixed up. And the sergeant in the radar shop said, "You better go back right away or you'll be scared every time you go up." We went back up and I've had no problem since. I stayed right there for 2 years, and it was at the end of the war, December 46, end of the war, so I was qualified as a World War II veteran. I'm one of the lucky ones. I didn't have to go fight the Japanese or the Germans. I had played my freshman year at Virginia Tech because everybody else was in the war. So when I got to Cherry Point, on Saturdays, you know, we didn't have to go to work, and I'd go to the gym and play basketball. And this guy right here, came up to me the first day, and he said, "I want you to come and play for the Cherry Point Flyers." And that's what I did. I love playing basketball. I'm on the left. Shorty Finn is next to me. The coach, and I don't know, I can't remember that lieutenant's name, but behind him is Hayes. Tommy Bartlett's there, and the other guy's name is Forlander, something like that. Tommy Bartlett was in special services, which he didn't have to go to any place to work, but Tommy went on to play at the University of Tennessee, and after graduation became and at some point, the coach at Florida, the basketball team. And he coached them several years. He died recently in Chattanooga. You know, as a young person at the time of the war, I wasn't scared. I wished I could. I wanted to be a pilot. That's what I wanted to do. And I had qualified in my senior year to enter the Navy V5 program, which would take you through pilot's training. And as soon as the war ended, that was over, they canceled that program. So I didn't go there. I went in the Marine Corps. So I was happy that it dropped the bomb also. That happened before I went in the service. But I think that saved a bunch of lives. I was a senior in high school when the war ended, 1945, August the 6th with Japanese, I think. And all I can say is I was glad because we didn't have, gasoline was rationed, food was rationed. That all, it wasn't long after that till my dad got a new car. So I was happy about that. I saw the pictures from New York of that going on and enjoyed that. I kind of had that same feeling with them. And it makes me proud of the men and women who fought in that war and won it for us, willing to put their lives on just right out there in front for you and me and Sarah. You know, I hesitate even to talk about this because you're going to put me in there as a World War II veteran, and I've loved so much the people that went ahead of me and did that work. What can I say? I just had a great time in the Marine Corps. I think I'd have been scared if I was over there, but I sure would be willing to go if I were able. Well, like I say, when I got out and went back to school, I realized that if I was going to do anything, but I matured a lot. I can't think of any most of them are dead. I had some friends there, but they've all passed away. Well, I'm going to tell you something I saw firsthand way after the war. I was working for Lockheed and traveling, and I was the director of airlift requirements, they call it, for our government. Sarah and I were in Honolulu at what was that, Airlift Association meeting. A four-star gentleman, a good friend of ours, he took me on the base and we went through all the buildings. There's still holes in the walls of those concrete buildings where the Japanese bullets had come in. So that makes you, standing there looking at it, makes you realize how awful that was. But that's my most vivid memory of that. I think once again, of all the men and women who served during the war and most of them gave it all, their lives. A lot of them, I shouldn't say most of them, but a lot of them did. I don't know how many we lost, what, 1 million people in that? That's what I think of. It's strong in my memory, in my presence, and it's going to be strong when I say goodbye to this earth. The American flag means all the people who have served that flag. And I don't know of any more words I can put, but it really breaks my heart when I see those people kneeling when the flag is out there and the national anthem is played. Almost brings tears to my eyes to think about it. How those people have served and